the divine souls. We'll be chanting Doha number 34 of the Bhakti Shatak. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe 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 Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Krishna जैसे प्राकृत देह की आत्मा जीव बखान राधे राधे जैसे प्राकृत देह की आत्मा जीव बखान राधे राधे ऐसे ही जीव की आत्मा श्याम सुजान राधे राधे ऐसे ही किया जीव की आत्मा श्याम सुजान राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण 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 राधे। There are certain philosophical truths that it pays to think about again and again. It's part of devotion, is doing manan of the basic philosophy. Here, Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj reminds us of a very important point. Just like our prakrit deha, our material body, is alive because the soul resides within it. In the very same way, we are alive. We meaning the soul. We are alive because Shri Krishna resides within our soul. Yasyatma shariram yasyaksharam shariram. Ved says, just like your body is the place of residence of your soul is the place of residence of Shri Krishna. Your soul is like his body. He inhabits your soul just like you inhabit your body. Chetanash chetananam. Shvetashvatara Upanishad tells us that our soul is chetan. It is alive, and that is why it gives life to our body. But the soul itself receives life from its Atma, the Atma of our Atma, Shri Krishna. So he is Maha Chetan. He inhabits all the souls in the entire universe and graciously enlivens them. Without his presence and without his grace, no soul would be alive. Just like when our soul leaves our body is, as Sri Maharaji says, 0 bate 100. It has no value then. The life is gone. As soon as the soul is gone, the body is nothing. Similarly, if Shri Krishna were to leave us even for a second, we would cease to live. But there's no chance of that ever happening. Our soul is bound to leave our body, as it has left all of our previous bodies we've received in all of our previous lives. But Shri Krishna can never leave any soul. Such a point, if we really think about it deeply, it's called doing manan. Avritti rasakrid upadeshat. Brahm Sutra says, listen to the philosophy and then hear it again and hear it again. And in between hearing the same thing again and again and again, think about the same thing again and again and again. Because otherwise it stays as a superficial knowledge, more of an intellectual knowledge that, yes, I'm the soul and Shri Krishna is the soul of my soul. If someone tested you on that, you would give the right answer. But do we actually feel that? Or for how many minutes or seconds do we actually feel that throughout the day? Just think of today. Review today. How many minutes or seconds did any of us sitting here right now actually live that truth and really feel in our heart, Shri Krishna is the soul of my soul. I'm not the physical body. I'm a divine soul. It might be very few moments actually for most of us, which means that we're not doing proper manan of the philosophy. So although you would all test positively, you would all score a good score if I gave you a test on the theory, but none of us are scoring very well practically, because the practice, although it's so simple, we're not taking the care. We're not caring enough to make the effort to do manan of these simple things. We're not making the effort to remember that Shri Krishna is with us every moment of every day. It's not a difficult thing to do, but it requires will. We have to want to do it, and we have to remind ourselves to do it. It's like if someone gives you something to do, they say, oh, can you do this thing for me? And although you say yes, but it's not high on your priority list, you say yes, and within 5 seconds, you've forgotten that you promised to do that thing for them. And 2 days later, when they ask you, did you do that thing? Oh, I forgot. And when did you forget? Immediately after making the promise. We all do it. It's a matter of priorities. So I'm saying we for all of us. Maybe some of you here could be exempt to this, but I'm saying in general, most of us, including me, don't make nearly enough effort to remember these simple truths. So that's why it's very valuable to be reminded again and again. In the next doha, Shri Maharaj addresses one of the, you see, doing bhakti has an ultimate goal of attaining Shri Krishna, getting his divine vision, experiencing his divine bliss. That's the ultimate goal. Along the way, we also get to experience an abhas of that divine bliss, a reflection or a taste of that bliss, to the extent that our mind gets attached to him. So that experience is also part of our goal. We want that happiness right now. There's another ancillary benefit. There's something called daivi gunas. This means the good qualities of the mind, like satya, truthfulness, ahimsa, non-violence, tej, having good energy, akrodh, not having anger, kshama, having forgiveness, daya, being merciful and compassionate, arjavam, being straightforward in our behavior. There are many, many daivi gunas described in our scriptures. And these are qualities that every person values. What I mean by ancillary benefits is that by doing bhakti, you would gradually develop these qualities in your own mind. These qualities are also called godly qualities in English. They're related to God. God himself is the absolute source of all the good qualities. He himself is he's absolutely good, absolutely forgiving. He's the absolute form of all of these good qualities. And since we are his ansh, therefore we naturally like those qualities, just like we naturally desire him. So even someone who's not exhibiting these good qualities, or instead is exhibiting bad qualities, for example, someone who tells lies, even such a person still appreciates and values the good qualities. The person who tells a lot of lies doesn't like to be lied to. He wants people to be honest and straightforward with him. The person who is cruel to others doesn't like cruelty, because if you're cruel to him, he doesn't like it. He wants you to be kind to him. So we all, every single person naturally loves these godly qualities because we are ansh of God. And everybody also says and talks about, well, we should become more like this. We should develop these good qualities. Even politicians say it. Be good, get along, sab ek ho jao. But how to develop these positive qualities of the mind? Tulsidas ji says, Nema dharma achar tap yoga yagya jap dana bheshaj punikotin kariya rujana jahi hariyan. He says all the ailments of the mind, which are like the opposite of these good qualities, the asuri gunas, anger, jealousy, hatred, etc. Obviously, it's like a balance. To whatever extent we reduce the bad, the good is rising up. So he's saying how to remove the bad and bring up the good qualities in the mind. None of these other practices are fully capable of accomplishing that. Name, dharma, achar, tap, yoga, jap, yagya. None of these practices fully succeed in doing that. Raghupati bhakti sajivan muri. He says bhakti is the only way. Why? Because bhakti means your mind joined with Shri Krishna, and he is the absolute good. He is absolutely divinely pure. So your mind purifies through that connection with him. All the other practices are physical practices. So to whatever extent we join our mind with Shri Krishna, to that same extent all the good qualities develop in the mind. Dharma satya dayopeto vidyava tapasanvita. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavatam that nasamyak prapunatihi. There are two great things. Dharma, which is practiced with great straightforwardness and truthfulness, and the path of Gyan, which is practiced with great renunciation and austerities. Both of these things are great. However, nasamyak prapunatihi, they don't have the power to fully purify your heart. Not in the way bhakti does. Bhakti burns away all of our sins and all of the impurities of the heart, like when there's a fog in the morning and the sun rises, and within minutes the fog is burned away, all of those droplets of water are vaporized. That's the power of bhakti to purify the heart. Shuddhayati nantaratma Krishna padam bhoja bhakti mrite. Shankaracharya says that without devotion to the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, your antahkaran can never be purified. So here, Sri Maharaji is saying, Satya ahimsa adi, these good qualities of the mind, binu hari bhajana na pai. Without devotion to Shri Hari, these qualities can never really be developed in the mind. Jalate grit nikale nahi kotina kariya upay. Just like even if you try millions of times to extract ghee from water, there's no ghee in that water. So keep churning for uncountable lifetimes, you won't get it. Even if it's lime water, which is colored white to look like milk, you can keep churning that and you still won't get ghee, you won't get butter out of it. In the same way, without bhakti to Shri Krishna, we can never achieve true purity of the mind, and we can never fully develop all these positive qualities, daivi gunas of the mind. So we'll sing this and look at further ahead where Sri Maharajji describes more about the nature of the mind. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe 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 Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Same speed. Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Krishna Satya Ahimsa Adimana Vinu Hari Bhajana Napaya Radhe Radhe जलते घृत निकले नहीं कोटि न करिय उपाय राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe. 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 The next doha explains a situation which is confounding and frustrating to us, which is this. Even after receiving tattva gyan, the correct spiritual understanding, still our mind stubbornly goes back to the world. And by going back to the world, I mean seeks happiness in the world. What is tattva gyan? On the path of bhakti, the necessary knowledge includes simple truths like the one we were just discussing, that I am the soul, and Shri Krishna is the soul of my soul, and I am his, and he is mine, and that's my only eternal relationship. In addition to this, there are basic facts like he is perfect bliss, and only by attaining him will I get true happiness. The happiness of this world is experienced in the mind as a creation of the mind. Happiness doesn't exist in the things of this world. It's experienced by the mind based on the positive thinking of the mind for the object that it's experiencing. If it has a negative thought about the same object, then the same thing starts giving that person unhappiness instead of happiness. If there was happiness in a person, then everybody would be able to get the same amount of happiness from the same person all the time. That's logical, isn't it? If there's a certain amount, if there's happiness in someone, there must be a measurable amount of happiness in them. And if that's a fact, then whoever gazes upon that person or talks to that person or perceives that person in any way should receive the very same amount of happiness if that happiness is a fact. The same goes for non-living objects, jada vastu, like food, possessions. Everything that contains actual happiness should be able to give the same amount of happiness to everybody. We should all be able to get the same amount of happiness from rasgulla. But I don't even like rasgulla. And there are people sitting here who could eat 50 at one sitting. They like it so much. So why the difference in happiness? It's all up here. I prefer chocolate. I may be able to eat 50 chocolate bars or 50 chocolate chip cookies in a sitting, and someone else says, no, it's not really my thing. Give me rasgulla instead. In other words, for me, there's happiness in chocolate and no happiness in rasgulla. And for another person, there's happiness in rasgulla and no happiness in chocolate. Why the difference? It depends on the attachment of the mind. Who has built an attachment to what thing? Depending on their upbringing, depending on their past lives, sanskars, all of these things affect it. But there's no actual happiness in chocolate or in rasgulla or in any person. It's all based on our thinking. Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj gives such good analogies to clarify these things in a person's mind. So for this situation, he gives two analogies. One, he says, just like a child sucks on his thumb, and when he sucks on his thumb, he feels he's getting something good out of that. Like when he drinks milk, he's getting something satisfying from it. So what's actually happening is, by sucking on his thumb, it's causing his mouth to salivate. And the taste of saliva is slightly sweet. So he keeps swallowing his own saliva, and he thinks it's coming from his thumb. So that's his delusion. He thinks that, oh, this thumb tastes so good. So that's why he keeps sucking on it. Similarly, a dog who's hungry may find a dry bone lying somewhere and then lie down and happily start chewing on it. He keeps chewing on it and chewing on it until his gums start to bleed in his mouth. And he can taste his own blood. And he thinks the blood is coming from the bone. And he thinks, oh, this is such a tasty bone I've got. And he'll dig a hole and hide it for later. Or if someone tries to take it from him, he'll growl at them. He really thinks he's getting the good taste from the bone, but it's not. It's coming from his own self. Similarly, we create our own experience of happiness based on the amount of attachment we have to a person. Your neighbor experiences no happiness whatsoever when your child returns home from college. But you are on top of the world. You're on cloud 9. Why? Because you're attached to your child and your neighbor is not. When your neighbor's child comes home, you feel no happiness and your neighbor's on cloud 9. If there was happiness in both of those children, everybody would get the same amount of happiness from them. But they don't. It's all in here. We create the experience. We create attachment to people and things through repeatedly thinking of them as a source of happiness. And then based on that attachment, when we meet with that person or when we get that thing, in our mind we get that self-created feeling of happiness, which can also vanish. The more you keep enjoying that person's association, the more the desire to be with them decreases. And along with it, the happiness decreases until you get bored of being with them. And if your thinking really changed about that person, maybe someone, even if they lied to you, it's incorrect, but maybe they told you something about your friend from whom you used to get happiness. Now they told you something about your friend that, oh, they said this behind your back. They've been spreading nasty rumors about you. Then when you see that person, what happens? You feel the opposite of happiness. So if there was happiness in that person, it shouldn't matter what you're thinking, you would get the happiness. If there was happiness in beauty, then let's say a mother was at a fair, a huge fair like Kumbh Mela or something, where there's millions of people, and maybe her child got lost, got separated from her. It happens. So she went to the police outpost and inquired, and there they showed her many children who the people had turned in, saying this child is wandering around and hopefully the parents will come by and claim him. And based on the description of her child was not very beautiful. Maybe deformed, maybe you could even say ugly. And looking at these children, well, some of them are very beautiful. But she feels no happiness gazing on these children. She wants her child, no matter what he looks like. So if there was really happiness in beauty, she would have been happy to take home one of those other children. But she's not. She wants her child to whom she's attached. So happiness is received based on the amount of attachment, which is developed by repeatedly thinking positively about someone, and it can be removed or turned upside down if you start thinking negatively about someone. This is a basic fact. Even though we've had this explained to us, that the happiness of the world is a delusion, it's an illusion created by our own mind, and that's why the happiness never fully satisfies us. That's why we're always looking for more. And then we also learn that real happiness is only God. So we learn all of this, and it even matches with our experience, because we have plenty of experience in the world, and we say, yes, that logically makes sense. It explains everything that I've experienced in this world. And we've also had some experience of devotion to God, and we know that happiness as well. So we know these things to be true through our own experience, and yet the mind repeatedly leaves Shri Krishna and goes back to the world. Why? Shri Maharaj says here, Mana maya tehi banyo, maya te sansar. Your mind is made of maya, and the world, sansar, is also made of maya. Yate mana bhavata sada yah sansar asar. So even though this sansar is asar, even though this world has no true happiness, yet the mind is always attracted to the world because it's its nature. Remember, I've explained several times that the Ansh is always attracted to its Anshi. Shri Krishna is our Anshi, therefore our soul naturally loves him and desires him. Because both are substantially one and the same. He is Sat Chit Anand, and we are Ansh of Sat Chit Anand. But our mind is Ansh of Maya. This is the situation. Our body and mind are made of Maya, and the world is made of Maya. So there's a natural, we call that being sajatiya. They're of the same kind, so there's a natural attraction between the world and our mind, and there's a natural attraction between the true me, the soul, and Shri Krishna. But mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Our scriptures tell us this phrase again and again, that mind is the decider. If the mind turns towards God, you attain God, and if the mind remains attached in the world, you remain under the bondage of Maya. So even though the soul is attracted to God, but the mind is the decider. The mind is the sarathi. There's another analogy given in Vedas, that this body is like a chariot. And our soul, our true self, is the owner of the chariot, but is riding on the chariot, and it's the buddhi, it's our intellect, which is actually driving the chariot. The horses are the five senses, and the reins are the emotional mind, the man, which are being held by the intellect, the buddhi. So the buddhi is the actual charioteer, the driver of the chariot, and the soul is the owner of the chariot, but is sitting, just like if you sit in a limousine, you sit in the back seat, and the driver drives you around. So our mind is the driver, and the soul has to go along for the ride. So this is why if we don't properly educate the mind will just always go towards the world, because it's sajatiya with the world. The soul is kind of, you can say, emanating this constant desire for happiness, because it is Ansh of God and God is happiness. This has already been explained to you. We are Ansh of God and He is happiness, therefore we desire happiness. So there's a constant cry of the soul for divine happiness. And that cry is received in the mind, because mind is related to the soul. Although mind is mayak, but it's with the soul. It's adhyast in the soul. It's established in the soul. So mind and soul are not separate, even though they're two different things. And the mind is also the servant of the soul, just like your driver is your servant. But if you don't tell the driver where to go, what happens? You're yelling from the back seat, take me home right now. I want to go home. And he says, what's the address of your home? I don't know. Just drive. Hurry up. So poor driver just, okay, he starts driving. He thinks maybe I'll bump into your house eventually and you'll tell me when we get there. That's basically what our soul is doing. It's crying for God. It's crying for happiness. And our mind is helpless. Our mind doesn't know where to find God or where to find that happiness. So since the mind is made of Maya, it naturally gravitates towards the world. So it says, oh, you're looking for happiness? I'm your faithful servant. I'll try to help you find happiness. Let's try eating rasgulla. Let's try eating chocolate. Let's see if this person can make me happy. Let's see if $1 million can give me happiness. Mind is the faithful servant of the soul. It really is sincerely trying, but without the proper guidance, what can it do? So that's when we get tattva gyan, then the mind says, oh, okay, true happiness is that way, not that way? Okay, let me start thinking of Shri Krishna. Let me love Shri Krishna and try to attain his happiness. But understanding that point once is not enough. So we get it once and we think, okay, now my mind's going towards God. But what happens is we've developed such a habit. The mind is so accustomed to looking for happiness in the world that the second you let up a little bit, it goes back that way. Like, let's say you lived in the same house for 50 years and you worked at the same job for 50 years. And every day you drove to work and you drove back. So after 50 years, it's automatic, right? Do you even think about where to turn left, where to turn right? It just happens. Now let's say after 50 years you change jobs. So now you have to go somewhere else. If you're not concentrating the whole time, what happens? If you just start driving and you're thinking about something else, you'll automatically go to your old job. You'll end up there. You'll think, how did I get here? Oh, I was thinking about something else and I just followed what I was used to doing. So if in the beginning our mind is so habituated to looking for happiness in the world, as soon as we become asavadhan, as soon as we become a little bit careless, the mind goes right back there. And then we wonder, why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep looking for happiness from this world when I know the facts? It's just because our mind is doing what it's used to doing and we're not being careful enough. We're not being aware enough. You know, like a guard who has guard duty, he's always looking around. If he thinks, oh, let me just grab a quick nap, it's the middle of the night, some invader could come in and he'll be at fault. So as soon as we become a little bit careless, our mind is going, it's not even a question. It's not even a probability, it's a definite thing. As soon as we let up a little bit, our mind goes back to the world. So we created this situation by meditating on the world as being a form of happiness for us. We've developed a firm and deep faith that the world is happiness and I'm going to get happiness from it. Now we've understood the opposite. We've understood the true nature of worldly happiness, but it's still a very superficial understanding. Deep in our heart, our mind says, there's happiness in this world. And I'm going to try again. As soon as my buddhi becomes a little bit careless, I'm going to try and enjoy this thing our mind is planning beneath the surface. So this is why this is everybody's situation. Everybody with a material mind suffers through this. This is the path of spirituality, this is the path of devotion, is this gradual struggle to turn the mind towards God. It's a battle. You want to fight a battle? You want to be like Arjun? You want to be brave? This is your battle, the one that's going on in here, and it goes on every second of every day. If we are brave, we stand up to our man. We use the knowledge we have in our buddhi and we control its activities and we divert it towards Shri Krishna. We won't be perfect, but every little bit of effort we make strengthens our work on this side, strengthens our attachment to Shri Krishna, and gradually loosens our attachment in the world. So no bit of effort is wasted. Every moment that we succeed in keeping our mind in Shri Krishna, it's a great victory, like a courageous warrior. And every moment, every time we make that mistake and let our mind just indulge as it's used to, well, that's a lost opportunity, you can say. That's time that's gone by that we can't get back, and we don't know how much time we have left in this life. So however much we realize the value of this human life, that this is our only chance to get our mind attached to Shri Krishna, and however much we realize the temporary nature of this life, that it could be taken from us any second, that much concerted effort we'll make. And if we don't make the effort, and whether we don't realize the value of this chance, or we don't realize that time is running out on this chance, so therefore we don't make the effort to review this knowledge in our mind and make it pakka, then it stays on a very superficial level. And even though we have the knowledge and we could pass the theoretical exam, but we're not practically gaining the success that we need to. So this is why this has been explained here for us, so that we can understand these facts, understand why we make mistakes, and instead of getting frustrated, just redouble our efforts and try to improve ourselves. So we'll sing this last doha today, and tomorrow we'll continue with more practical guidelines for what to do with worldly desires, worldly attachments, anger, greed, all of these things that people think they want to get rid of. Sri Maharajji explains how we can actually transform them or divert them into devotion. That will be tomorrow's topic. Jai Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, Radhe. Jai Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, Radhe. Jai Radhe Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Krishna, Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe. Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna. मन माया ते ही बन्यो संसार राधे राधे। बन्यो माया या ते मन भावत सदा यह संसार असार राधे राधे। सदा जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे। 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 जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे। अलबेली सरकार की, श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे।